Welcome to another episode of Galactic Ambassadors podcast. My name is Julia Velaz, and today I'm joined by Sabrina Savoy, calling in from Ontario, Canada, and I'm calling in from Ireland. So we're happy to meet you on the 12th of September, 2023. That's when we are recording, and it'll probably be released in a week or two from now. I am feeling quite high from just rereading Sabrina's certification report, talking about her client sessions and reading their testimonials. It's just such beautiful, beautiful stories, which we hope to share towards the end of this recording. But first, welcome, Sabrina. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm feeling really good too, really bubbly. I'm excited.
Yeah, we both definitely feel in high spirits. The nice thing, what we realized is our ascendants are matching. Well, mine is 29 degrees of Taurus, and Sabrina is early 0 degrees, some minutes of Gemini. So, we have a lot of star alignments that are matching in conjunctions. So we can definitely feel the likeness of kindred spirit. And what was it like for you to read my material, read my style of writing in the course? Did you feel that too?
Definitely, especially when sharing stories about having your ascendant in the high degrees of Taurus and mine is right at 0 degrees Gemini. It was like you were speaking directly to me. So it was very validating to be like, wow, I've also live these experiences and feel them. So it was very validating to see it reflected back at me.
I'm so glad. Yeah, it's absolutely mind-blowing to see how when we are meeting someone whose astrology is matching harmoniously our astrology, it doesn't have to be exact or similar, but sometimes it's through geometry. You have trines or sextiles, things align in a harmonious way. If we were talking to a musician, if two different players play tunes that are in harmony with each other, like you feel the resonance when you're talking to that person. So, even for someone who doesn't know astrology, when you start paying attention to that now, when you meet the next person, do you feel the resonance of them? Then if you showed your chart and their chart to a skilled astrologer, they will be able to tell you, yes, actually, you have all these planets in a harmonious alignment, and that's why you feel resonance and likeness, and it's easy to talk to that person, versus when you meet someone where the alignments are out of tune with each other. It's really hard to even express your own experience. You feel unheard, you're stumbling upon your own words. It's like there is a mismatch. So it's just mind-blowing how it really works.
Especially moving forward, like through this course and working with my energy work clients, I've noticed that so much, where some people are brand new to energy work and they come and everything just flows. It's very fluid and they open up and bloom. And this doesn't happen too many times, but there's been a few where they sit silently and they're scared to talk and open up. So it's really interesting. I've started to go through some charts with my clients, with their charts, and there is so many galactic connections between us. So it's always amazing how they came to find me, and then see, I guess, the stars revealing like a higher truth as to why we met. So
absolutely. Yeah, when we get sometimes those few out of alignments, it's almost like it's nice to experience that, because it makes us appreciate the aligned ones much more. I recall time when I had so many clients that were in perfect alignment with my sessions, and I almost started to doubting at one point if it almost becomes strange that you always see kind of similar story. So it's really good to then get one that steps out of the norm, where actually there's more in this world. It's like an imagined same theme that you're just copycatting your own stories from before. Actually, there's a lot more there, but for some reason we keep attracting the resonant people into our lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabrina, you have a beautiful website, sabrinasavoy.com. You also have your YouTube channel and Instagram, right? So, and other modalities that you practice. I would love to hear your story of awakening to this kind of multidimensional consciousness, experiencing and tapping into so many different things. We will take a look at your natal chart, some of your galactic alignments too. Where would you like to start? How did you get into this kind of stuff?
I think I was around the age 5 to 7. That part I don't remember exactly. But I was always a child who loved to be outside, loved nature, used to look at insects and things like that. And my mom had rose bushes in front of our house. So there was this one memory I have specifically where I was watching a bumblebee on the flower, and I thought to myself, what happens if I put my hand out? So I put my hand by the rose and just watched and waited. And eventually the bee landed on my finger, and I held it up, and we had this beautiful exchange. And I didn't know what I was feeling being at such a young age, but I felt this really calm connection, and it was like the rest of the world disappeared, and I was really in a beautiful, harmonious element. And then the moment was over, and life went on. But my parents immigrated to Canada from Italy. From such a young age, I thought that there was a different way to life, because growing up wasn't always easy. I remember thinking, I want to do this differently. I don't feel like this is the way for me. What I'm being shown isn't the way I want to do this. There was a lot of stress in the early years, and I believe that's really reflected in my intercepted house to shut down my voice, not want to speak. Eventually, all of this kind of panned out. We evolved from it. What really helped me get into energy work, and it was one of those bittersweet things. So my mom in 2008 was diagnosed with breast cancer. And at that point, I was taking a yoga class, and I spoke to my yoga teacher about it after class, and she offered me Reiki training. She's like, I think you'd be really good at it, and it will help you deal with what you're going through, and you can also help your mom. So not having too much experience with energy work at that time, I immediately said yes. Prior to the training, I only received like one Reiki session before. But I immediately fell in love with it from that first training. I realized that everything that I was searching for as a child and growing up, like I looked at all kinds of like Wicca books growing up, magic books, but nothing felt like, no, this isn't really my thing. This isn't what I'm looking for. And then the Reiki training, I'm like, this was it. I could use my hands. I could feel the pulsating of energy like moving through me. And I knew that I found my place, that I was meant to be there. Right away, I started working on my mom. I got into energy work for a real serious reason, because it was to help me process emotions and to help her with her physical discomfort. It was the first time I really noticed my intuitive gifts. It really woke something up inside of me. So my mom's cancer first started out as breast cancer. I would work on that, and all of a sudden I would feel these like pains in my hands, and then feel it reflected in my body, and it would show me where the cancer has moved to. And I was so scared about what I was feeling that I never told anybody, especially my mom, because I didn't want to make her believe that the cancer is in other places. So now like it's worse. So I kept that to myself. And then she went to do her ultrasounds, and sure enough, where I felt the spreading, that was confirmed in the ultrasound. So my Reiki master and me would work together with her. And she told me that, you know, this is you waking up to your gifts. You are becoming more intuitive. And it was a hard journey. But my mother taught me about soul contracts indirectly. So I ended up taking care of her. No matter how badly I wanted to help her, I realized you cannot help someone unless they really want the help. So that led me to finding Louise L. Hay's work and positive affirmations and your mental health. And I bought this book for her thinking like, okay, Mom, let's get you in the right mindset. Let's do this. She's like, no, I don't want to. So I'm like, well, I didn't buy it for nothing, so I guess I'm going to do it. So then I ended up, it inspired me big time. It shifted my life even more. And many years later, I wrote my own affirmation book. It's just been wild. But I kind of missed something in between that story. My mother did pass away 2 years later, and also her mother passed away early too. So it's my grandmother, who I was very close with, she passed away, I think I was around 11 years old. And at that time we lived together, and I was alone in the room with her when she passed. And then when I started learning your course, I noticed my 6th house was really packed in Scorpio, and I experienced death for the first time, like actually watching it happen. And that was the first time I heard a voice in my mind that wasn't my voice. And the message was, give her a kiss, because I knew that, oh, she's dying right now. But I couldn't move. I was really young, and I froze like a statue, like jaw to the floor, like, oh my God. So finally other adults came in the room and then moved me out. But I've had a close connection with death, with dying. I've almost drowned 3 times. So I have my own experiences with that. And it's all kind of come for full circle in how I'm able to assist other people through the hardships, to show that this isn't for nothing. It means something. And this is actually where you get through to that power point, like going through those hard initiations to come out the other side.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all that. You know, as usual, I'll be looking at the Galactic Astrology chart and all the alignments there. So there are actually a few things that I really want to point out, because I believe, you know, the listeners of these podcasts, through first hearing the life story and then hearing how the astrology kind of is matching those stories, or how certain astrological alignments can manifest in our life. And then if they check in their own chart, perhaps they find similar alignments and be like, oh, actually, I can totally relate to that. And I also have that in my astrological chart. So I think that's how we are, at least that was how I was deepening my love for astrology, through hearing the stories of my clients in quantum healing hypnosis sessions, and then seeing it in the chart. Is like, you just fall in love with it more and more. So first of all, that beautiful story, as you connected deeper with such a minute things as a bumblebee, you know, it was probably one of many, many examples, and just you kind of wandering in nature, just being in awe of creation. I can totally relate to that. And we both have our south lunar nodes in Sagittarius, and we both have multiple planets in our 12th house. So the Sagittarian on the south node is our nature to kind of have the wanderer boots, especially in childhood, where you literally totally lose concept of time, or that someone may be worried about you. You just are out there and you're wandering through the fields, through unknown places, far away from home, as a child, fearless, just being, observing, connecting. So that's so beautiful. So it's either south node is in Sagittarius, or certain planets in 12th house can manifest like that. And for you also having moon in Pisces, you know, any planets in Pisces, it's easy for us to tap into the consciousness of all that is, just being one with creation, having no boundaries of our own personality. You just kind of are understanding all that is creation. So that's so beautiful. What, when you talked about your Reiki development, I can totally see the trend on this podcast. We have multiple practitioners in our Quantum Soul Guidance course community who are attuned to Reiki, and many of them are saying the same thing, that once they received the attunement, their psychic ability started opening up, developing. So it's I just love Reiki. It's such an amazing modality. I see it through my husband's experience as a practitioner. It's just awesome. And so what you were talking about there, when you felt what was going on in your mother's body, it's called clairsentience. One of our extrasensory abilities of clairsentience. So you've developed that.
I felt that feeling many times growing up. But that was when it really was like, had the fuel to really do something, to really make me stop and be like, what is this? What am I feeling? It's not mine.
When I looked at your chart today, first time, I realized the connection between the Pleiades opposing the Alpha Centauri. And when I think of them as a collective of human beings and kind of their story, from everything I know about the Pleiades, from everything I know about Alpha Centauri. So for you and I, we have Pleiades on our ascendant and we have Alpha Centauri on our descendant. So with the Pleiadian frequency of our natural identity, what we share with the world immediately, like our instant personality kind of traits, a Pleiadian is very positive, hopeful, optimistic, bubbly, and like, oh, look, there's another thing that's so fun. Oh, look, here's another. It's just like a constant awe and very like quick-paced experience of life. Whereas on the opposite end of that, we have Alpha Centauri, grounding the experience of life into more even slow-paced experience. So for us to observe that, seeing people going through it, and certainly for you, your parents, you watch them becoming, determined to succeed and make a living in a certain way, provide for others, like being very responsible about their choices, but also the struggles of that and the difficulties in that, and how stress plays on how we connect to others, the survival mode, all that. It's not very pleasant, but really learning from that high vibe Pleiadian, nice and handy experience to actually watching more physical experience that is kind of grounding you into what this life on Earth is about. So we learn a lot through that polarity, and perhaps on the opposite way, vice versa, the Alpha Centaurian starseed signature is learning to lighten up through the Pleiadian signature that is opposing them. So if you have these two alignments for our viewers in your chart, conjuncting and opposing, the Pleiades, Alpha Centauri, or the other way around, like that's the polarity of the experience. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to then meet in the middle and know when it's time to be jovial and bubbly and just really party and have a good time. And that, I'm not saying that that's all what Pleiadians are about, but finding a way to be hopeful and positive and optimistic, but also quite grounded, not too naive, not too ungrounded. With Alpha Centaurian, it's like teaching us that grounding it and manifesting and creating in this physical reality. But does that resonate?
It does. And I'd like to add something with the Pleiadian and Alpha Centauri having these opposites in opposite spots in the chart. I thought this so many times to myself before knowing astrology, where I'm like, wow, it feels like I've lived so many lifetimes in this one life. Like I've experienced so many things, like so many ways of being, so many creative avenues and outlooks already. And now I think it was like in my 30s, something started to shift. And it's now more, I want to say less Pleiadian, more Alpha Centauri, where it's like all of those fast-paced experience I had are funneling into this lifetime now to be grounded and it's like all integrating. It was like a fast initiation into life, and now it's like time to integrate, root it, and then help everyone, or just help lift the vibration through those experiences by firmly planting them here on this earth.
Really, I love that. I'm curious if you by any chance know which planets do you have in retrograde in your natal chart?
Yes, everyone but Venus.
All right. We talked about that recently in our private Facebook community of the Galactic Astrology Practitioners, the retrograde planets, that people who have them in their natal chart, they often would say that they feel like exactly what you just said there, that they live so many lifetimes in one lifetime. There's just so much happening. So that's interesting how it's all right there. In terms of your deep or profound or intense connection with passing to the other side, witnessing your loved one, your grandmother, and then your mother. So you have Jupiter in the 8th house in Capricorn, conjunct Lyra constellation and the fixed star Vega. That really stood out for me with your chart being a day chart. You were born early in the morning. Jupiter is probably one of the strongest planets in your chart. So Vega, that to me always manifests in our life as an embodiment of ancient wisdom and being able to hold space for others' transformational experiences, and certainly Jupiter in the 8th house, that's really what it's about. So I thought it was such a powerful moment, certainly for you to be activated or initiated into your stepping into that kind of elder that holds space for others to go through the profound transformation. Have you noticed that pattern then also manifesting in your client sessions?
It has. A lot of people have reached out to me for me to assist people in hospitals on the verge, or I get people who already know me, friends and clients, when someone's on the verge of passing, they always reach out, can you send prayers, hold space for this person? So all the time it's a yes. And usually what happens is I feel something similar to the galactic center, like a moving vortex, and I can usually sense the spirals of light around that person and a few of their guides. I usually just stand there, do that in silence. There's really not much to say, but just really trust the process, surrender into it. And I've had several clients who were suicidal. And that was I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm just an energy worker, but I seem to have a grip on many facets of life and be able to support people through it and help them come out the other side. But having that experience of having, and it was really interesting timing, because there were several clients, none of them knew each other, and they all came to me at the same time. So it was when everything passed and everything was good with them and everything, I took a little bit of a pause from work, because I'm like, that was a lot of intense, like, inner work. And it was fascinating to me, like, how does this actually happen to be? Like, how does it all happen at the same time? How did they all find me? And I'm just really grateful that everything worked out. But to be someone's lifeline for a little bit is it's challenging, it's rewarding, and it helps make someone appreciate life so much more, and to be more kind, to smile at strangers, hold the door for them, be a good human. Like, it takes nothing to be kind to someone, right? So I'm always that friendly stranger, I guess. Not too friendly, but you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Such an important and beautiful message. Thank you for putting that in. What just got me thinking is how, I'm sure if you looked at the astrological transits of your chart during that intense period where you were assisting others during powerful transitions and transformations, you most likely had either Pluto going through your 8th house or something else going through Scorpio, it's most likely it can be explained astrologically. And I just find that so fascinating that even though we have no idea what's going on out in the sky, we are still living, embodying the reflection of the planets and the stars. As a result of this knowing, I'm forever in awe with the magnificence of divine intelligence and how everything is in perfect alignment. So what I wanted to point out with all this little rambling is that for sometimes when our natal charts show seemingly challenging or difficult placements, like for example, having Jupiter in the 8th house could show up as abundance coming, manifestation of either financial or wealth, prosperity coming to us from inheritance or other people's resources. But 8th house is also about deep transformation, death experiences. So it could be like, oh my God, this person is experiencing that so many times, like near-death experience in your own case. But I think if you then step on the path of assisting others through these deep transformational experiences, it isn't affecting yourself where you are going through near-death, but actually the alignment is playing out through other people's experiences, and you just hold space. But as you said, it's not something that can be done long-term or without a break, because these experiences are so taxing on the body, and it takes a lot for us to process things. But we grow in strength as we are exposed to certain experiences. We get better and better at handling more. So Sabrina, so you have a few other modalities. So you're Reiki, Usui Reiki master, also teacher. You also teach Reiki, is that right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So now that's been like a beautiful thing, because I know how it's impacted my life. So I'm always so excited when someone also like just feels the genuine call to do it, and see them wake up to their own inner gifts. So brilliant. Yeah, I love it. Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful to hear. And I see you also have 250 hours of yoga teacher training. So you're certified in yoga teacher training. Awesome. Super well done. I know how tough these trainings are. How is yoga impacting your life, or how did that come into your life? Because it sounds, again, like a deep dive into, all right, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, it was lots of that 0-degree energy. It's like I have an idea and you can't stop me. It's like I have to go do it. Yeah. So with yoga, I was I think like 17. So it was still like really low key for people born in 84. It wasn't super popular as it is now. But the gym I went to was offering yoga classes. I'm like, oh, I have to go try this. And there's only 3 people in the class. My best friend at the time came with me, and I don't think she liked it as much as I did. But the first like sequence of movements where my breath matched my body, and I was like, what? This is amazing. I really loved the way that made me feel. It was super like grounding and connecting for me, because I am usually like high energy. So to just bring all that energy back into my body was really nice and soothing. So I kept doing yoga, and then after my daughter was born, my firstborn, she's 10 now. I went back to work at a like regular job for a little while. And every day I would go to work, and I kept getting an inner voice message saying, you're wasting time, you're wasting time. So I always did energy work part-time, but I was still kind of in a trance, like just living the way society says, doing the things, getting married, having kids, getting a job, buy a house, like, you know, kind of checking all the boxes. But it was, she was almost 2, and I said to my husband, I'm like, I can't do this life. Like, I don't want to be these people that just do things because you think you got to do them. And he was really supportive of me and said, just quit then. Like, who cares? Just let it go. I'm like, really? Okay. I'm going to let it go. So I did. And I said, okay, I'm doing yoga training. I'm going to do yoga teacher training. And I did. I started working in a studio right away. I was teaching meditation. Yeah, brought in my Reiki services into the studio and started teaching, and it was amazing to really bring mind, body, spirit all together. And I'm really grateful that I had my Reiki master prior to yoga training, because it really deepened my practice. It wasn't about just being fit and being able to be flexible. It was like a much deeper practice for me than just the physical body. So that stayed with me for many years. And then COVID happened, and I was teaching yoga out of my home. I made like a little yoga studio here, so teaching local classes. And COVID happened, and then everything stopped. I homeschooled my children for a little bit. I haven't taught a yoga class since COVID. And it's just been all energy work since then.
Wow. I'm just looking at your Mercury representing the mind in Taurus, 0 degree, representing the body, in the 12th house, representing the spirit. So like yoga teacher, perfectly aligned with that. Yeah. And of course, there are many other clues throughout your chart. Right. So you have your Sun, Mercury, and Venus all in 12th house. I have my Mars and Venus in 12th house, plus 5 asteroids. And just before this recording, we were chatting about how nice it is for us to kind of be in our own space, hidden from the world, secluded. And if we could, we would just stay that way, because it's so enjoyable. It's easy for us to connect to all that is and just be. But how do you reconcile with that energy and then also that deep calling to be of service, be a teacher, be out there? I mean, Gemini North Node and, a few other alignments that you have there. How do you deal with that kind of almost like inner conflict? I want to hide yet, but I also need to be out there and have the social media. Do you have anything that works for you?
It's definitely a growing evolution with me, and something that does not come without challenge. Especially with being filmed like this, for me, it was so easy when I was just teaching in-person classes. So people locally would just come in, and it's very relaxed. But then as soon as I am going global, like with the social media and having an online presence, I get nervous every time, like this interview right now, or I have the camera on me. So I want to go and hide. I like being behind the scenes. I'm okay with being like low profile, not causing like too much attention. But I know that the 12th house, like having my sun there, shining in an area that is often invisible. And I know that by being clairsentient, where it's like, I feel things that I cannot see. And with the Gemini in the 1st house and my North Node, having Mercury as the ruler, like I'm trying to put language on something that's invisible. And that's the challenge. So my solace is going back to nature. And the older I get, the more further away I want to live. Like I loved city life. Now I'm like, in a small town, kind of suburban, but now I'm like, where else? Like, I want to live by mountains, by an ocean, lots of trees. As long as there's internet connection, I could still do my work. But I'm finding that the messages are getting more profound and deeper. So I need nature to ground me. Doing interviews like this, having social media, it is the challenge, but it's like the only way out is through, right? You have to, if I'm here to be a spokesperson for ascension and, there are other ways to living, then I have to show up. I cannot keep hiding because there's so much information I've been sitting on like for over a decade and I haven't shared. I have symbols that come through meditation, and I still haven't been able to just say it or share it. So I'm working on it. It's a work in progress.
Absolutely. I love how you framed that it's about shining the light on the unseen and, finding the balance, embracing the nature that helps you to go deeper. And I think when we feel there is divine timing for everything. And when you are tapping into information that really is appropriate at any given time, the excitement that kind of comes from the higher self fueling us, our courage to actually share it, it's always good. But certainly with someone with many planets in 12th house, I feel it's much harder for us to just share selfies for the sake of being out there. It's highly unlikely for a person with planets in 12th house to do that as a trend of their life experience. It's more about, okay, if I'm coming out there, it has to be something that that I believe has value for others to help them heal and grow and expand. So
I love that you said that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Well, let's look at your beautiful website, if that's okay. I'm going to share my screen. All right, Sabrina. So here's your beautiful website, sabrinasavoy.com. Can you tell us, did you get any help with building this website, or did you manage to do all this?
I managed to do it. I have always been visually creative. And one of the things through my many facets of life, studied photography and learned a little bit about Photoshop and graphic design. So I put this together with Wix, just using a template, and then I, just change it how I see fit.
I love that. Yeah. You mentioned a book. You mentioned a book of affirmations. Where on your website will I find that?
Oh, so if you click enter, so scroll down a little bit more.
Enter.
Yeah, there's a pop-up is going to show up. But if we go down here.
Beautiful photo.
Thank you. So grab my 3 favorite pages. So my book is called Infinite Me. I wrote it and published it in 2019. So just before COVID happened. And it was so divine. So you can check out my 3 favorite pages from there. But it is a workbook. It's a journal. The left side of the book is an affirmation with, I like to say, a light-coded artwork. And then the right page has very minimal words, or it's blank. So you can write, doodle, or draw, and then you will see why you don't believe the affirmation on the left-hand side or why you do. And slowly, your inner story starts to come out, and you get to see why I believe this about myself, why I don't believe this about myself, and where did this story even come from. So
I love it. That is so amazing. Absolutely brilliant. How fitting for Sun in 12th house and Moon in Pisces. Like, of course, you'll write something called Infinite Me.
That's true.
So helpful and so practical. My goodness.
Yeah. And I just, again, keeping myself low key, didn't find a publisher. I just did this all by myself. There's that 0 degree in Taurus Mercury energy. And I said, okay, I'm going to figure out how to do it. So I found out that Amazon has a publishing house. I did it on my own. I had one friend who had to help me format it to Amazon's guidelines. And then that was it. Then I found a local printing house in Toronto and printed a few hundred copies, sold all of the like hard copies that I had, and have made sales around the world. So it just makes me feel good that this book has been kind of sprinkled around the world. So it's not a popularity contest, but it's like the seed has been planted. It's there somewhere.
Oh, beautiful. I really hope that the more requests for the printed version will come out as a result of this podcast, and that you will have a round 2 of those printed, if that's something that you feel aligned with. Yeah.
I'm ready to make another one. There, like a higher octave has been called.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Lots of new affirmations and new artwork.
Thank you for that dedication. Looking forward to hearing the news on that. And here is your Galactic Astrology service with current prices, what's included, let's book it. There are different options. Can you take us through that? What's your style?
So I love the first one is like the base level, just an introduction. So if anyone is kind of curious about astrology and, you know, what my soul callings are, but maybe they're not that ready to take a dive into like life on other planets and stars, maybe that's a little too much right now. This is like the perfect introduction to really like go deeper into the self and start to wake up the soul. So I can either do it by audio or voice. I love finding people's soul colors, because then I will do a quick meditation and so much starts to come through that sun in 12th house. It just comes out and I share it. The second one, the Moonlight Galactic readings, these are really fun. So doing your course, what I discovered about myself is that I love researching people's moon, their moon phase, and the day they were born, and how this moon phase like really interacts with their planetary alignments. There is like, it's just such a jam-packed reading just by looking at their moon and how it's woven into everything else. So the moon, I like to consider it being the soul of a person, and the sun is more like the heart. So how they dance and how it kind of shows those inner whispers that you can't quite find language for, but just to confirm to you, yes, you're not making it up. It's really there. I just really want to help people feel seen and validated.
It's deeply healing. It's healing and transformational, for sure.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah. And the artwork, I like, try to put my session in artwork form. Here we go.
Yeah. I remember one of the feedbacks from your clients was that even visually, it was just incredible experience. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And then this one, my favorite one, just like a fun scene with, the girl and the hot balloon, filled charts and planets. So this is the full package where you get the like traditional tropical astrology reading with the quantum soul guidance and galactic astrology. So learning about your main star connections and how it plays with your aspects and your natal chart. I love looking for intercepted houses. That's seems to be a big one with me. I actually like the challenging charts, so like bring them on. I love to go into people's wounding and darkness and really be able to shine light there for them, to be like, it's okay, you weren't designed to be like everybody else, and this is why, and actually be able to prove it to them, like this isn't for nothing, it's not for no reason.
That's again such a beautiful manifestation of Jupiter in 8th house. A person with that usually is very comfortable with facing the darkness and finds positive in every negative. Like it's such a beautiful thing to see with you here too. Awesome.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Thanks, Jupiter.
Yes.
No, I love it too. It just validates me too, because forever I'm like, well, why aren't I afraid of things? Like, why? But I just go there. It's totally fine. So I like to really give them a different perspective on it. And these, so far, I have to say, the child's healing report, I'm really grateful because I've been doing these the most. Most of my energy work clients are now doing their kids, and it is amazing to see the frequency of these children and how special they are and how hopeful it is for the future. So these reports are really geared for me to go through the child's report, not as detailed as like the full galactic report, but I skim over their astrology report, their moon phase, their galactic report, and I work with them on a soul level to send them healing where required, and then get messages to give to their parents, like this child needs this, or if they have delayed speech or autism, I'm usually able to find it in the chart to validate that child, to say, do not force this child to fit in. Something greater is happening. They're bringing higher energy from Arcturus or Andromeda. They're going to need a little more time to develop. But usually the soul will tell me the soul is developing. And this is just like a very short time frame that this child will even have this challenge, right? So it varies. It varies as to what kind of behaviors and things like that I pick up on. But it's been, the feedback from the parents has been absolutely wonderful. They all feel like they are deepening their connection with their child and feel like they know them more. So
absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for doing all that. I certainly can relate when, understanding my daughter's astrology. I think if I didn't know that, well, hopefully intuition would have guided me, obviously, to do it in an aligned way. But thanks to knowing her astrology, I know that I cannot try to push too hard to have spiritual conversations with her, or, I'm not frustrated that she's not too much into meditation right now or yoga. Like for her, it's right now, it's like, no, leave me alone. What are you talking about? She's just very much in the 3D human experience, having such an amazing time. But I have a peace of mind knowing that there is a timeline in her chart, in her life's experience, where it will actually flip, and she will be able to help those that are walking the path of everything that the modern world is doing to our children. So it's all good. It can be so helpful and healing for parents to know more about their child's path.
Right. It's like looking under the covers. It's like you see this and you rely on a doctor to make sure things are working properly. But there's that spirit. Who's looking there? Let's look there. We should, lift the sheet a little bit.
Yeah, there's one more example that I feel called to share. So, for example, if she would feel happy and excited about something that my spiritual self would perceive as shallow, but in her reality, it's a great thing right now. If I didn't know what I know thanks to astrology about her, I can totally see how easily I would slip into trying to change her perspective on it way too soon, and then make her feel guilty or feeling kind of unhealthy and in conflict between what I'm teaching her and what her peers are experiencing. Like, it could create actual damage for her, for me to try to impose what I know as a 40-year-old person to make her want to be like me, but thanks to what I know, I'm just like allowing her to be happy in the experience of what I would perceive as shallow for now. But I know it's just a temporary stage. It's fine. It's still in a healthy way, in a way. So I hope that helps a parent out there. And of course, leading by example, hoping that what she sees in us as we live our life experience is creating a healthy imprints on her too. So brilliant. Well, I just want to highlight what made me feel really high when I was reading the feedback from your client sessions what we see so often with galactic astrology, soul readings. There was again, one of yours said, I feel like you gave me the final pieces of my puzzle, and now I understand why I'm here, who I am, what to focus on in my life. The other one said they received validation to their knowing that their main mission on earth is to be a mother, and that there is a much deeper story to that that goes way beyond even to different galaxy to ours, you know, or that they receive multiple goosebumps, chills as they keep rereading their report, and that, you know, it's just so invaluable. I feel so privileged that we are able to comprehend such vast quantum of information and somehow deliver it in a digestible way to people who are ready to receive it, and how they allow whether text or audio or video to work with them over time. It's just such a blessing. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for sharing your light, your courage.
Well, thank you for bringing this to my awareness. You know, this is taking this course and practicing and working with people has really been a level up. You know, I've been certified in my Reiki training since 2010. And I felt so good, like just being there. And this came along and I'm like, wow, this is like a whole new world opened up. So
I think we're all kind of ready for this. There's one more thing I'm curious about that I want to bring up. I've noticed your birth city is same as you currently live in, right? So you haven't really moved. You're living
from Etobicoke to Beaton. There's like, it's 40 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm curious what it is like for you to be the light that you are in an environment where you grew up, because normally for me it's much easier to be who I am far away from where I was born. I would find it very difficult to be who I am in a much denser environment. How did you navigate that change, and how did you come out, and how was it? What was the reaction like?
Well, luckily, I guess I was always the different child. I never really did. I guess people expected if anyone was going to be different, it would be because I am the way I am. So that was pretty acceptable from my family. I'm definitely challenged by staying here because there are other places in the world where I sometimes rather be. And right away, Spirit gives me a kickback. The question is, why are you here? There is something here in Canada and I need to be here. And it's just like, why? I always thought I was going to move and like live by the ocean. At least I could find an ocean in Canada, so that's fine. But I like to do a lot of earth work. I know we didn't talk about that, but I definitely feel rhythms of the earth, and I like to do like grid work with the earth. So even though I would like to travel around the world more, I always seem to come back here. So even when I do travel, I come back here. And I am a Taurus too. So it's like that slow, comfortable, like not really quick to change at times. But I also feel like I need to be here because Canada needs a lot of help transmuting. And that's why I'm here. That's
great. You surrendered and you're finding your way.
Yeah.
Life wants you to.
Yeah. Awesome. Of service, right? It's just like, okay.
Brilliant. Yeah. One last question. Do you have any message or a tip for students of astrology, whether outside of my courses or inside my courses? What was it? Did you have your low moment where, I don't know, it's overwhelming or anything? And how did you navigate through that? And what was the breakthrough? Can you think of that?
You know what? Yes, I had a low moment. That's right. I emailed you. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I reached out to Marina, and she affirmed to me, like, let's do some clearing. You affirmed to me, do module 9 again. Let's do some more clearing. And I took the advice. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pause my own energetic practice, because that's the thing about me. I will never work on someone if I'm not feeling right. So I took 2 months off, and I just did work for myself. I was meditating more, getting back into the practice, did lots of clearing, working on this course. It has a way of bringing up traumas of ancestral wounding, and it's for a purpose, because it's like, you, in order to really help other people that are coming to you with their charts and ancestral baggage, you're going to need to know how to navigate that, and what better way than to practice with yourself. So it was almost like an initiation. I had to stop, pause the course, pause everything, and just keep clearing my own things. And when I felt filled up, strong, rooted, I'm like, okay, it's go time. And then I got the message in meditation where it's like, you have to finish the course. Because in that low moment, I'm like, am I gonna finish this? Is this like, am I not supposed to do this? I had, you know, the low vibes seeping into my thoughts, trying to change things around. But after lots of clearing, I got the very strong message that you need to finish the course. You need to do this.
Oh, thank you for sharing that experience. I'm sure it'll help the right people. May they be guided to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
So if anyone is in the course going through that hard time, something similar, that just is showing you where your work is. Go back, do some more work on yourself. Even give it a couple months. I did. And you'll feel better for it.
Brilliant. I had 6 months of that when I started QHG, where I had to pause. Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah. Such a pleasure. I'm so happy to get to know you more, and I look forward to staying subscribed to your YouTube, to your Instagram, and seeing where your life journey will take you, and what awesome discoveries you may share with the world when it feels aligned. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, dear.